Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. Today, we dive into Storm of Betrayal, where a real cyclone collides with a corporate one. Tu Tieu fights the wind, the mud, and the doubt as Uri is dragged into Egan's trap. We'll follow her from a rain-beaten market bananas, brave neighbors, and two shivering puppies to a showdown where truth lives on a tiny drive and courage is carried by a whole community. If you enjoy heartfelt, high-stakes storytelling, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next episode. The knife twist lands in the first breath. Night splits open under horizontal rain. Market lights gutter like candles about to die. Uri's voice shakes on the phone. Don't come to town, Tieu. Egan needs a scapegoat and they've picked me. Men argue in the background. A door slams. Thunder chews the signal. Then a second voice, cold, clipped. Either report to the office or we publish what you signed. Click. Bualoy's wind claws at the thatched eaves as Tu Tieu lowers the phone. Nagasa took roofs last season. Bualoy wants spines. She ties her headscarf tighter, cinches the raincoat, and lifts the basket of bananas golden against the gray like a pocket full of sunrise. If they're dragging Uri under, she'll carry what she can and move where witnesses exist. The market is not safe, but it is visible. On the path, mud breathes and swallows. Rain needles her cheeks. Fronds thrash like frightened hands. She prays in plain words because plain truths travel far in bad weather. May roofs hold. May kids eat. May hope not snap. And please, let Uri keep his name clean. A text arrives from an unknown number. He's signing back in by noon. Don't wait for him. No signature, only a timestamp, like a blade. If they forge one signature, they can forge another. The thought sharpens her steps. The market is a ragged lung, breathing steam and rain. Tarps slap like flags. Bulbs buzz. Voices stitch themselves louder than weather. Under a blue tarp, she sets down her basket. The bananas glow little suns on a slate sky. An elderly woman presses a thumb into a peel, nods, and buys a bunch. 10,000, Tu Tieu says, voice easy, the price a modest warmth. Children skid over, mud to their knees. Auntie, are these the sweet ones? You tell me, she smiles. A burst of summer follows as teeth meet sugar. In a corner, two puppies shake under a knotted rope. 200 each, the seller mutters. Her basket is only 1/3 gone. The math hurts, but you protect what trembles. 350 for both, she counters. A wave hits, the tarp whips, and the man nods. The rope falls. She tucks them inside her coat, feeling tiny ribs accept her heartbeat as a weather report that says, warmer soon. It won't stop Egan's plot, but it changes two small lives. Sometimes that's all the leverage you get. The phone rings unknown. She answers anyway. Silence long enough to count her breaths. Then the same chill voice. We know your stall. Be wise. Tell Uri to come in clean. End. Fear looks for a chair in her lungs. She doesn't offer one. Markets may not stop men in office shoes, but they make them visible. Visibility is a kind of spine. A man in a blue jacket drifts close, not buying. He studies her face like it's a document. Your friend at Egan? He asks, almost kindly. It's almost that scrape. Lots of people are, she answers, friendly and firm. Not a great time to talk business. Storms make everyone honest, he says, and moves, but not far. She works the line, rhythm finding her. 10,000, take two. Careful, the ground's slick. Bless you. Each sail lifts weight from her basket and her chest. She isn't selling fruit. She's selling proof that something still ripens, that sweetness refuses to surrender. A neighbor limps up, squints through rain. You wear worry like perfume, the woman teases, then slips coins into Ly Tu Tieu's palm she didn't ask for. Weather passes, names endure. The sentence sits in her coat like a coal. A boy tugs her sleeve. Auntie, the puppy's ears are cold. She opens the coat a finger's width so he can see the blinking faces. We fix what we can, she tells him. The rest we face together. An engine coughs behind the stalls and idles. Not close, not far. Blue Jacket returns to pretend to inspect jackfruit he never buys. Another stranger lurks where the rain can't quite reach. Phone glows too bright. Witnesses help. They don't stop everything. She could slip out now, cut through the noodle stand, across the schoolyard, along the canal to save herself. But then what? Uri walks into Egan alone. She types fast. Don't sign. North Gate. Incense vendor. We move with our eyes. She adds 2 words neither has dared. I know. She means the forged contract, the trap, the obedience test. A little girl with a bear umbrella takes the last bunch. Give the smallest one to your grandmother, Ly Tu Tieu says, tapping a cluster. It's the sweetest. The girl nods like a soldier and sprints off, splashing signal fires. A teacup lands in Ly Tu Tieu's hands, stitched in mercy. She lets the pups sniff the steam. They sneeze. Laughter ripples beyond the tarp. A ping. North Gate. 10 minutes. If I'm not there, assume. The message stops mid-word, severed by courage or hands. She doesn't wait to learn which. The empty basket becomes a shell for 2 living talismans, 1 puppy on each side. She ties the strap across her chest. The van noses forward, hunting. Blue Jacket peels from the jackfruit. Across the aisle, the tea woman steps into the van's path to fuss with a sandal that needs no fussing. The engine grumbles at patience. Seconds stretch. Now, she breathes to herself, to the pups, to the boy she hopes is still running not from Egan, but toward her. She steps out of the tarp's thin safety into unfiltered rain. Bualoy throws a shoulder. She plants her heel and keeps moving. Tarps whip behind her. The market's noise thins into a tunnel. Puddles reflect a smear of headlights, tracking her close enough to taste on the back of her tongue. Benches, baskets, a toppled broom, she threads them all. Past the jackfruit he never bought. Past a line of plastic chairs that look like fainting guards. Past a stall where incense burns stubbornly despite the wet, sending up wounded ropes of smoke. The North Gate is a rectangle of paler dark, the frame of a doorway in a black house. Her breath keeps time with the van's engine. A figure waits by the incense vendor's table, hood up, shoulders tight. Not tall enough to be Uri, not shaped like a blue jacket. The vendor's radio croaks out a love song that doesn't belong to this weather. The figure lifts a hand, not a wave, more like a caution. She slows 1 step, then makes herself speed up again. Hesitation is how traps work. Ly Tu Tieu? The voice is young, scraped raw. He sent me. They moved the meeting. He said to give you. The figure cuts off and glances over her shoulder. Headlights lurch. The vendor coughs loudly and knocks a stick of incense out of its bowl. Ash fans across the table like gray snow. Behind her, the engine commits. The van rolls, not fast, but certain. On her chest, two small bodies press closer, as if memorizing her heartbeat in case they need to find it again. She steps to the table, palms open, eyes on the hooded face, ears on the approaching tires, every nerve arguing about where to look. The incense burns on stubbornly, a single bright coal in soaked wood. She doesn't turn around. She doesn't run. She says, very quietly, "Then give it to me," and walk. The hooded messenger slipped a small tape drive into Tu Tieu's hand. Logs, screenshots, audio, proof the signatures are fake. Before she could ask, the figure vanished into the storm. At the gate, the van stopped. Blue jacket, clipboard, and a man with a glowing phone stepped out, shoes shining wrong in the flood. "Ms. Tu," Blue jacket called, "we'll take you to Uri." Tu Tieu stood firm. "I'm going to Uri without you." "This is about cooperation," he said smoothly. "Then cooperate with the truth," she answered. The market thickened around them umbrellas closer, voices quiet, eyes sharp. The tea woman muttered, "The scene arrived with them." Phone glow pointed his camera. "State that you support Uri's return and deny links to stolen files." "Show me a warrant." Clipboard's voice slipped. "We're not police. We protect company property." "Then protect it from forgery," Tu Tieu shot back. A tall figure appeared beyond the smoke Uri, hood pulled, shoulders squared. Even from afar, she knew his walk. Blue jacket's voice softened. "Now, we all walk to the van." Uri stopped short. "Is it true you bought puppies?" Laughter broke through the rain. Tu Tieu smiled. "Two. They're my lawyers." Uri's grin flickered. "Good. We'll need counsel." Then louder, "I won't get in your van." Clipboard tried, "If you sign," another lie. "No." Phone glow lifted his lens. "Say that again." Uri stepped aside Tu Tieu. "No." Blue jacket's patience cracked. "What's your plan? A post? People forget." "Markets don't," Tu Tieu said, filming the crowd instead of the men. "These are witnesses. Storms can't erase." Uri lifted his chin. "Record this. Egan forged my approval, threatened a false confession, and tried to use Tu Tieu to force me." The crowd inhaled as one. A mother cursed softly at the cruelty of it. "Enough," Blue jacket snapped. Before he finished, the incense vendor tipped ash across his brazier. Smoke billowed, thick and theatrical, blinding cameras and choking orders. "Walk," the tea woman whispered. Uri and Tu Tieu moved. Not running meant prey, just walking with the gravity of people who had chosen. The market became tidier, baskets blocking, umbrellas swinging, polite apologies tripping the van's path. They reached the herb doctor's shop. Inside, jars glowed green, the puppies warmed by a brazier. An old laptop wheezed to life, revealing logs, mismatched timestamps, forged trails. Proof undeniable. Uri's voice cracked. "Will this move the board?" "The board wrote the trap," Tu Tieu replied. "We aim outward." Outside, shadows gathered under the awning. The market was listening. They recorded Uri's timeline, Tu Tieu's testimony, the doctor marking time and storm. Files were copied onto phones. One onto the radio man's stubborn device. His cousin ran the page everyone trusted. A pounding at the door. Blue jacket's outline blurred in the rain. "This is interference." The doctor smiled thinly. "This is medicine for burns, bites, reputations scraped by lies." She shut the door. Uri turned to Tu Tieu. "You didn't have to walk into this." She looked at the puppies, at the jars glowing faintly. "We fix what we can, the rest we face together." The progress bar chimed complete. Files now lived in 4 places. Ready? Uri asked. Ready. They stepped back into the storm, not hiding, not running, walking toward the strongest signal. Behind them, the market followed, a living rope of umbrellas and voices. The van idled, uncertain. And in that hesitation, the betrayal broke not with silence, but with many voices carrying truth further than any storm.
Trong một cơn bão nhiệt đới và một âm mưu của công ty ập đến cùng lúc, trong khi bố loài xe toạc mái nhà, Egan dồn Uri vào chân tường bằng một loại giấy phép giả mạo và đe dọa sẽ công bố một lời thú tội giả mạo. Nghe thấy một cuộc điện thoại run rẩy, Tử Tiêu từ chối luôn. Cô mang chuối qua mưa, sưởi ấm khu chợ bằng lòng tốt, cứu hai chú con ướt sũng và lấy sức mạnh từ những người chứng kiến. Tại cổng phía bắc, người của Egan đến với một chiếc xe tải blue jacket kẹp giấy và một cuộc gọi cố gắng cưỡng ép. Một người đưa tin đội mũ trùm đầu đưa cho cô một ổ đĩa được ghi âm chứng minh nhật ký làm giả, ảnh chụp màn hình âm thanh. Uri đến và từ chối chiếc xe tải. Khu chợ trở thành lá chắn, khói che khuất camera. Hàng xóm ngăn chặn cuộc truy đuổi. Bên trong phòng khám thảo dược, bằng chứng được sao chép và lời khai được ghi lại. Họ bước vào cơn bão cạnh nhau trong khi tập tin lan truyền điện thoại đi các trang, biến nỗi sợ hãi thành bằng chứng và thành bằng chứng sự bảo vệ.